Christian, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on. Look forward to chatting with your listeners today.
So, you're taking leadership of the Republican Party at a moment of incredible success for the party. You have supermajorities in both chambers of the legislature. Governor DeSantis just won re-election in a landslide victory. And Republicans have a big and growing advantage of registered voters compared to Democrats after Democrats led in that measure for years. So my question to you is this a high water mark for the party, or can it go up even higher at this point?
Yeah, no. Look, Florida, we can continue to improve, and that's what we're going to focus on doing. We're going to continue to do our voter registration, which, as you mentioned, the Republicans have really dominated Democrats in. We're going to continue to do our get out the vote operation when election day comes a little bit closer. We're going to make sure our voters show up to the polls and vote. And it's important for us to do that because we need to continue to keep Florida free. And what I'll share with you is we're going to actually now expand our efforts, our successful efforts, and we're going to be focused at the local level. We're going to be going after school board races. We're going to be going after county and city commission races when really the state party has not engaged in those as aggressively as we should have in the past. We are going to do that this cycle. So you're going to see us take our efforts, continue to do those, continue to be successful statewide, but now expand our efforts into the local races. And I think we're going to have a lot of success because of it.
And you mentioned going after seats that up to now have been nonpartisan. There are proposals right now in the legislature to put political parties next to school board races, or even a proposal now to eliminate nonpartisan races across the state. So, a tiny town mayor who spends most of his time managing things like waste management and maintaining roads could now run as a Republican or a Democrat. Is that something you all see to your advantage, that Republicans will win if that happens? Because that's a big change.
Well, look, that small town mayor isn't just doing roads and wastewater. What they're also doing is voting to try to shut down communities. We saw that during COVID, try to take away people's freedoms with curfews, try to impose mask mandates at the local level. So I would argue some of these local races, especially in the school board level, are some of the most partisan positions in the entire country on any part in the ballot. They may be down at the bottom of the ballot. However, they impact people greatly. I mean, we look at children forcing masks on kids, trying to shut down schools on kids, trying to force vaccine mandates on children. These are very telling positions that liberals are pushing. And I think when you have a partisan race, what you're doing is you are informing people where they stand ideologically. And right now, the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, the number one question we get during election time is who's the Republican or who's the Democrat? They call our headquarters and they want to know. People want the information. I think this is actually a transparency issue. Nonpartisan races are a sham. People run in nonpartisan races to hide what their ideology is. And all we're saying is let's inform the voters more, especially in these local races when people may not know who their city mayor is or county commissioner is or school board member is, but they do know where they stand ideologically on the issues. And they want these people to reveal themselves and inform the voters. And that's exactly why I do support moving to partisan races across the state.
And Republicans undoubtedly won a strong mandate last November. But I want to talk about a couple ideas being prioritized in the legislative session that, according to public opinion polling, are not popular at all. And, the things that I'm referring to specifically are the 6-week abortion ban that there's a bill for and constitutional carry. I mean, public opinion polling shows that these are strongly opposed by a lot of people. I mean, these do not have majority support. My question to you is, are Republicans risking overplaying their hand here?
No. Look, public polling would not have shown Governor Ron DeSantis winning by 19.4% last year. I can't say that the polling is really accurate when you look at the state of Florida and where Floridians stand. When you talk about life and you talk about 6 weeks or 12 weeks or 20 weeks or, whatever people throw out there, let's have an honest discussion about life. You want to talk about abortion and life, I'll talk about it. And the reality is there is two differences between the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. The Republican Party, we believe in protecting innocent life. That's our position, period, end of story. The Democrats are very extreme on this issue, actually. When we start talking about abortion, it's not just about 6 weeks. I've seen Democrats having, insane celebrations about abortion, instead of baby showers, abortion showers. You've seen people do, abortion celebration cakes. This is a Democrat Party that pushes for late-term abortion until the moment of birth, and sometimes they've suggested after birth, which is insane. So they're extreme on this issue, and
I'm
I
I'm,
think
I'm not sure anyone's suggested abortion after birth. That's
oh no,
contradictory.
there's been I think there was the governor of Virginia mentioned that, um, and which is insane. It's an insane position, and that's the past governor of Virginia, by the way. So I think these are important issues that need to be discussed and debated, and that's what we're going to see during session.
So some down the middle voters, self-described independents, and obviously a lot of Democrats critique the Republican Party in Florida, which has held all the levers of power since 1998, of spending a lot of time and energy on so-called cultural war issues and for not doing things to improve the runaway cost of housing, getting more people access to healthcare, things like that. How do you combat the perception that does exist in some parts of the state, not the reddest parts of the state, but if you're trying to win more support, how do you combat that perception that the party's not addressing the real issues facing Floridians?
Well, I think that's a pretty rich accusation considering the fact that we just won the state by 19.4%. You say in the reddest areas, actually, if you look across the entire state, that's the margin of victory. I believe the focus of our leaders here, our conservative leaders across the state, has been on point. And I think the Florida voters have actually gone to the polls to make that case known. Winning in Florida by 1% to 3%, 3% is a landslide victory. And again, we just won by 19.4%. So when you look at the state of Florida, it's very difficult for anyone in this state to say that Floridians disagree with the priorities and the execution being done in Tallahassee and the focus being put out and the vision being put out by our governor. We can have all these polls and all these debates and hypothetical discussions. Really, the truest, most pure poll are election day results, and we just got that back. So I think our priorities are right in line. We need to continue to have bold, conservative, aggressive leadership, and that's what you're going to see in Florida.
It absolutely was a landslide victory. I don't think anyone's questioning that. I do want to ask you a question. A lot of Governor DeSantis's time as governor can be characterized as centralizing a lot of power into the state government and away from individuals, city, county commissions, locally elected school boards. And some people might look at that, including some longtime conservatives, and ask, what happened to the party of small government? Can you explain the party's position on using the power of government to push its agenda on top of local governments, for example?
I would spin it and tell you basically this way and have you look at it this way is I think all of his time is how can we protect freedom in Florida? And sometimes you do have these local governments. I mean, I was a local county commissioner, one of our neighboring counties put in a curfew. That's insane. We saw, and that's during COVID. We saw other counties doing, mask mandates. We saw school districts trying to shut down, trying to force masks on kids, discussing about vaccine mandates on children. These are all radical positions that don't align with the state of Florida and where our vision is. If these individuals are out of line and they're pushing in a liberal agenda, I think it's good to have some accountability from the state. So the only time you're seeing the state act is when the local governments are running out of control and they're attacking freedom of Floridians. And yes, I would say that the governor and our legislature have a vested interest in ensuring freedom is protected in the state of Florida. And it's hard, again, to dispute the success of that.
Christian Ziegler is the chair of the Republican Party of Florida. Christian, I want to thank you once again very much for coming on. We appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.